Welcome to the Fun and Mental Christmas Special. Actually, it's not that special. It is Christmas, though, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite times of year, Christmas. Christmas season, Advent, all that. There are some Christians, though, who don't particularly like this holiday, who think that we should not be celebrating Christmas on December 25th. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. See, as far as I can tell, there are basically three arguments against Christmas. The first is a kind of biblicist argument. So there's some neo-Judaizers who say that we must still celebrate the 5 Old Testament feast days, and only those days. There's also those of a puritanical mindset who say that the Lord's Day is the only Christian holiday. Now, I'm kind of in sympathy with this. I have a high view of the Lord's Day. Check out my video on the Sabbath. I'm also a regulative principle guy. In other words, I believe that the Scriptures are sufficient to guide us in our corporate worship of God. See, but holidays are something different than that. The calendar will of necessity be filled up with something. If it's not a Christian holiday, then it will be a non-Christian holiday. If it's not Christmas and Resurrection Sunday, it'll be Columbus Day and the 4th of July and Pride Month. See, we are liturgical creatures. We need feast days and holidays. So is it okay then to have a holiday not prescribed in Scripture? What would falsify this argument? How about if we had biblical evidence that Jesus was okay with celebrating extra-biblical holidays? What if I further told you that we have exactly that sort of evidence? Hanukkah is not one of the Old Testament feast days. Happy Hanukkah, by the way. It was created by the Jews after the close of the Old Testament canon. But Jesus was quite all right celebrating this holiday. In fact, it expressly says in John 10:22 that he participated in the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah, thus putting his divine stamp of approval on holidays, even though they are not expressly commanded in Scripture. In the same token, I think it's quite all right for us to take events in the Bible and dedicate a chunk of our time to celebrating those events. And what could be more important to celebrate than the coming of God to us? There's also a cultural argument. This says that December 25th is a hijacked pagan holiday, that the Romans were celebrating the winter solstice, the worship of the sun or something, and that the church fathers came along, kind of slapped a crucifix on it, and tried to morph it into a Christian holiday. There's a few problems with this line of reasoning, though. The first is it just doesn't match the historical evidence. More and more there's evidence coming out that it's actually the pagans that hijacked the Christian holiday, and they tried to turn the Christian holiday into a pagan holiday in order to get back people who had converted from paganism to Christianity. But in addition to that, it just doesn't matter. Okay, the pagans do not own December 25th. It is the day that the Lord has made, and we should rejoice and be glad in it. I don't know or particularly care what pagan Romans did on the 25th of December. I do know what I do. As for me and my house, we celebrate the incarnation of the Word. Lastly, there's a historical argument, okay, because Jesus almost certainly was not born in December, probably the spring, around April. And while it's historically wrong, celebrating Christmas in the middle of winter is correct theologically and aesthetically, which I really believe is what the church fathers were trying to do when they created Christmas. Okay, they weren't saying he was actually born that day. They're trying to do something in our hearts and minds by celebrating the coming of Jesus in the dead of winter. We have a motto in our family, Pax Tenebras Lux, which we chose this motto because it's very catchy and rolls off the tongue. It was also sort of a slogan during the Protestant Reformation. It means out of darkness, light, and is probably a shortened version of the Latin Vulgate translation of Job 17:12. After darkness, I hope of light. I think that's also a fitting motto for Christmas. Christmas week is the darkest time of the year. In fact, the people who created Christmas might have believed it was the darkest day. Because before modern instruments, it's hard to tell exactly when the sun starts to rise a little bit more. But after Christmas, everything begins to get lighter. In the same way, the incarnation of the eternal God was the turning point in history. Now that Jesus has come, light is beginning to rise in the east, waiting for the day when Jesus will come again, and the righteous will shine like the sun. In case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of darkness in the world. Perhaps there's even a lot of darkness in your own life right now. But the Christmas lights that we display at night remind us that the day is coming. the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings. And that's what Christmas stands for. It stands for defiance against this present darkness. If that's a message you appreciate, please click subscribe, like this video, comment below what is your favorite part of the Christmas holiday. Merry Christmas to you all.